Hello, and welcome to DreamLadder Capital's Equity Market Update. Let's dive into the top stories driving the global markets today. The S&P 500 and Dow rose to fresh highs on Monday with up move of 0.77% and 0.47% respectively, as investors awaited the next batch of key corporate earnings. Similarly, NASDAQ closed 0.87% higher. The early signs of a recovery in banking profits helped push the broader market to record highs at the end of last week. The S&P 500 crossed the 5,800 mark for the first time on Friday, while the blue-chip Dow also reached a new all-time high. Technology continued its upward run and was the best-performing sector in the S&P on Monday. With the bond market closed for Columbus Day, the focus remained squarely on corporate earnings. So far, 30 S&P 500 companies have reported results, beating earnings expectations by an average of 5%, according to research by Bank of America. Big names like Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Bank of America, United Airlines, Walgreens, and Johnson & Johnson are set to report soon, and investors are eagerly awaiting these updates. Despite the market climbing to new all-time highs, investors remain anxious against a backdrop of a closely contested presidential election in 3 weeks. Suddenly rising Treasury yields, uncertainty about the pace of Federal Reserve policy easing, and escalating geopolitical risks in the Middle East. Meanwhile, the Asia-Pacific markets have taken their cues from Wall Street's record highs. In early morning trade, the Australian benchmark S&P/ASX 200 is up 0.6%, and Japan's Nikkei 225 has risen by 1.36%. However, Chinese stocks are facing challenges, with the CSI 300 down 0.5% and the Hang Seng falling by 0.7% as concerns over deflation persist. Over in the commodities space, Brent crude futures for December are trading 3% lower at 75.2 a barrel. OPEC's latest report cut its demand growth forecast for 2024, and geopolitical tensions in the Middle East also weigh on the market. Turning to India, the Nifty 50 gained 0.66%, closing at 25,128, while the Sensex ended 0.73% higher at 81,973. Both indices closed at their highest levels since October 3rd. In the broader market, capital market intermediary stocks were major gainers. Headline inflation for September rose sharply to 5.49% YOY against the street estimate of 5.1%, primarily due to higher-than-expected sequential rise in food inflation, 1.2% month-on-month, particularly in vegetables, eggs, and oils and fats, as well as an unfavorable base effect. Reliance reported Q2 numbers, which came a shade below the consensus estimates. Revenue was down 3%, marginally lower than the street's estimates, while net profit grew 11%, largely in line with the consensus estimates. While profit growth faced some negative pressure from declining gross refining margins in the oil-to-chemicals segment, strong performances in the retail and telecom sectors provided a positive boost. On Hyundai IPO, Hyundai Motor has raised approximately 8,315 crore from anchor investors on Monday, ahead of its record initial public offering. The company allotted 4.24 crore shares at $1,960 apiece to 225 anchor investors. New World Fund has secured the highest allocation with a 9.3% stake. SBI Life Insurance, Government Pension Fund Global, and HDFC Life Insurance received the second highest allotment of 3.2% equity, while HSBC Kotak Flexi Cap Fund got a 2.4% stake in the company. HCL Tech posted better-than-expected operating performance in Q2. Revenue grew 1.6% Q in constant currency terms, 1% ahead of street's expectations. EBIT-M expanded by 150 BP QOQ to 8.6%. Net new deal wins were steady at $0.2 billion. HCLT narrowed its FY25 overall and services CC revenue growth guidance to 3.5% from 3 to 5% earlier, while retaining the 18 to 19% EBIT-M guidance. Stock trades at TAT, trading at 28 times one-year forward earnings, and could see some earnings upgrade and re-rating by the street. Angel One reported strong set of numbers. Revenue was up 44.6% to 1,516 crore versus 1,049 crore, estimate of around 1,200 crore. Net profit up 39.1% to 423 crore versus 304 crore, estimate of around 400 crore. Foreign portfolio investors continued to be net sellers for the 11th consecutive session, offloading stocks worth 3,732 crore. On the other hand, domestic institutional investors bought stocks worth 2,278 crore, offering some balance to the markets. Lastly, the Gift Nifty is trading 1 point above its previous close of 25,083. That's it for today's update. Stay tuned for more insights, and don't forget to subscribe to DreamLadder Capital for the latest market news and analysis.